Swathe, many industries are waiting with bated breath to hear what President Cyril Ramaphosa has to say this evening. One of them, of course, is the events and exhibition industry, which has been severely affected by lockdown restrictions. So Prajani Patha is the chair of the Association of the African Exhibition Organizers, and she joins us for this conversation. Now, Prajani, thank you so much for your time this evening. I know that when it comes to certain venues as well as events, this has been one of the hardest of industries that have been hit simply because of the capacity of people and people that are allowed in buildings or outside for events. What are you hoping that the President will say this evening?
Well, Faith, we're very optimistic this evening because we've been in a few discussions with government in the past year, and we have had quite successful discussions recently, and we're hopeful that the presidency has listened to our plea to increase our numbers. You know, our events and exhibitions are a numbers game, and it is impossible to balance the books if you don't have enough people attending these events and exhibitions. So we're feeling optimistic that our proposal for a phased approach to reopening our industry will be put on the table.
So what does that look like exactly, Prajani, in terms of your proposals being put on the table and being seriously considered by the various decision-making structures that are involved in the response to COVID-19? What is this phased reopening that you have proposed?
Absolutely. So what we're saying is that if you look at exhibitions and business events, an exhibition is not an event. It is a marketplace where, you know, people come to buy and sell their wares. It's a shop window, basically. And people are not gathering. People are moving in and out of a particular venue, like a shopping mall or a retail outlet. And with events as well, you know, we are asking for a phased approach. So we're saying, irrespective of what level of lockdown we are in, we should be allowed to open. You must remember that this industry hasn't had work for the past 20 months. No work and no financial support from government either. And as much as we understand the need to balance lives and balance livelihoods, our livelihoods have been affected drastically. And so we're asking for, no matter what level of lockdown, we want a percentage of venue space to open. So we're saying if we're opening at level 3, then allow us 30% venue capacity. If we're opening at level 1, allow us 50% venue capacity. COVID safety protocols are a given. That is mandatory, you know, from social distancing to mandatory masks to sanitization. We have all the processes in place. In fact, we've seen a number of large events internationally happen from the beginning of the year already, where these events have happened quite successfully with minimal or no infections at any of them. So we believe that we are in the right place right now to open quite successfully. The other thing that we asked government to take into consideration is that, unlike any other industry, we cannot open overnight. So if government says that we can open for business tomorrow, we cannot open because our exhibitions and events take months of planning. So we'll only be able to open in about 3 months' time. So we cannot be switched on and off either. So it's really, really key that government lets us know in advance of when we can open and allow us that phased approach to opening so that irrespective of capacity, we can still allow delegates to attend our exhibitions and events.
Well, Prajani, before we let you go, I mean, there's a whole, a lot of arguments surrounding how, especially when it comes to exhibitions and the like, they need to be able to innovate. We saw a lot of the virtual exhibitions happening during the course of the harder lockdown regulations up until sort of to say now. But for your honest opinion, was it working and was it as effective as we had hoped, going virtual on most of the events that we've seen or most of the exhibitions that we've seen over the past year and a bit?
Well, yes, Faith, we had to innovate, right? We had no choice, and we did. Many of us did. But it is an unreasonable exercise. You know, as human beings, we believe in the power of face-to-face. And that is why we create experiences at our exhibitions and events. And that is why they're so effective. When you meet people face-to-face, it's a different interaction. It's very difficult, as we've all seen over the past 20 months, to do business online. We have different industry sectors that are still craving that face-to-face interaction to do business properly. So it has hindered our progress. We have gone online, but the results have not been the same. It has been taking a few steps backwards, even though, we will incorporate hybrid events in the future, but it has to be balanced. You need the balance of real face-time physical events with digital events. And digital events will always play a role in the future, but you cannot take away that innate human nature to have physical contact with people, which is what we offer as an industry, and which the entire country and the entire world has been lacking for the past 20 months.
Lastly, Progeny, what is the conversation around vaccination within your industry? Some industries grappling with this whole idea of mandatory vaccination requirements, requiring a vaccine certificate before a person is admitted to some functions and other services. What's the conversation in your sector?
Well, we personally believe that, particularly with recreational events, we think that having mandatory vaccinations for attendance at recreational events will ensure that we get the vaccination numbers up. It's been proven internationally as well, where in order to attend events, you have to be vaccinated. And obviously with the option of going digitally now, it makes that more possible. I know that it's already starting in the sporting arena, and we'd like to support it in the eventing space as well. But obviously, that is government's decision. If government can make that mandatory, then it's easier for us to follow through with it. But it has to come from the top.
All right. Thank you for that, Progeny Patha, who is chairperson of the Association of African Exhibition Organizers.
Well,